Discover this grandma's incredible, heartwarming journey. 50 years of hidden strength revealed. Alice stood behind the counter of Sweet Memories Bakery, her heart heavy like the flour she sifted. The once vibrant walls that echoed laughter now felt suffocatingly silent. At 68, silver hair twisted into a neat bun, Alice embodied resilience, a trait etched into her very soul through years of hard work and unwavering dedication to her family. Every corner of the bakery cradled memories of her late husband, John, who had woven the fabric of this beloved establishment with laughter and love. But since he passed, the warmth had faded, leaving Alice to fight the cold grip of solitude and dwindling customers. The bakery was more than just a business. It was a haven, a gathering place for the small town where they had raised their family. It smelled of cinnamon rolls and freshly baked bread, scents that danced through the air like whispers of happier times. Yet, in this post-war world where self-reliance was paramount, the economic decline had crept in, leaving the streets empty and the townspeople disengaged. Alice's heart thudded with doubt. Could she keep this legacy alive without John's guiding hand? Then, like thunder after silence, her estranged daughter Lily walked through the door. It had been over a decade since their paths had crossed, a decade of hurt and anger that lingered like stale bread. Lily, with her city dreams and ambitious goals, brought an electric tension into the warmth of the bakery. Their reunion was a clash of ideals, Alice's sturdy roots and Lily's soaring ambitions tangled in the air like flour dusted on fresh dough. Before long, fate twisted once again. A violent storm swept through the town, unearthing vulnerability as trees toppled and power lines snapped. Alice watched through the bakery's windows as the skies darkened. But in the chaos, something incredible began to unfold. Neighbors, previously strangers, opened their doors to one another. Just like the bakery tightened its embrace around them, Alice, ignited by a spark of purpose, transformed her focus. She began baking for those in need, crafting cookies and stews. Her small acts of kindness wove the community closer, reigniting that warm spirit they thought lost. Suddenly, she was the heart of a movement, bringing smiles back to her neighbors. But as she worked tirelessly, a whirlwind of doubts circled her mind. Would this new path bridge the gap with Lily? Would they ever find common ground on the future of the bakery? It felt like wading through a fog, neither sure of which way to turn. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the storm faded, a sense of hope blossomed. Alice and Lily found themselves working side by side in the kitchen, kneading dough and sharing laughter, breaking down the walls of their misunderstandings with every roll of the pastry. But deep within, Alice discovered a hidden letter buried in John's belongings, a family secret that twisted her stomach into knots. Could this revelation heal them or tear them apart once more? With her heart racing and her hands trembling, Alice felt the uncharted path before her. A choice loomed on the horizon. Would she reveal the truth and risk everything, or keep the past hidden to maintain the fragile bond they were rebuilding? As flour dust settled like memories around them, a storm of emotions brewed on the horizon, waiting for Alice to take the next step. The morning light peeked through the bakery window, casting a warm glow over the countertops. Alice felt a mix of hope and fear. Lily hummed softly as she sifted sugar, the sound a soothing balm against the chaos of recent days. They were becoming a team, the laughter and chatter filling the void that once seemed so endless. It felt miraculous, their journey out of silence. But as she dusted flour from her hands, Alice's eyes fell on the hidden letter resting on her workbench. Its edges were tattered, a whisper of the past she had kept at bay for too long. The thought of the words inside made her stomach churn. She couldn't ignore it any longer. It was time to confront the truth. Lily, can you take a break for a moment? Alice's voice wavered slightly, a tremor of uncertainty creeping in. Sure, Mom, Lily replied, cleaning her hands on a kitchen towel and turning toward her mother, concern in her eyes. Alice took a breath, steadying her racing heart. She held the letter out, trembling slightly. I found this among your dad's things. I haven't read it. I thought you should see it. Curiosity flickered across Lily's face. She reached out, taking the letter delicately as if it were a fragile treasure. "What is it?" With a lump in her throat, Alice stepped back, watching as Lily's fingers traced the edge of the envelope. In that moment, the years of misunderstanding floated between them, years filled with anger, disappointment, and unspoken love. "Let us read it together," Lily offered, her voice surprisingly gentle. They settled at the small kitchen table, the bakery's warmth wrapping around them like a long-lost embrace. Alice's heart pounded fiercely. As Lily opened the letter, Alice could see her daughter's brow furrow in concentration. The scraping of a chair against the tiled floor echoed like a clock ticking towards inevitability. "It's dated years ago," Lily murmured, scanning the words. Alice's thoughts spiraled into a whirlpool of possibility. What if this letter held secrets that could change everything? What if it revealed truths about their family, about John, that they both needed to hear? "I can't believe this was hidden all this time," Lily said, her voice sharp with surprise, but Alice noticed the tremble behind her words. She remembered her daughter as a little girl, bursting with dreams and filled with unyielding love. Alice could feel the walls between them beginning to crumble with each passing moment. "Sometimes we keep things buried because we think it'll protect those we love," she whispered, her gaze turning back to the letter. "But I'm not sure that's true." As Lily read the final lines, a silence hung between them, heavy with unspoken words and unacknowledged pain. Tears pooled in Lily's eyes, and Alice's heart leapt at the sight. "Mom, this is incredible." The whisper of wonder danced in the air, and Alice felt hope hovering like a butterfly between them. But a weight still lay heavy on her heart. What if this brings us back to the hurt instead of healing? Lily looked deep into her mother's eyes. "It can't be worse than what we've already let fester, right?" The moment hung in the air, pregnant with uncharted possibilities. Could this be the turning point for both of them? As they leaned into the emotion swirling around them, the doorbell chimed behind the counter. The sound startled both women, jolting them from their reverie. They glanced at each other, uncertainty painted on their faces. Who could it be, and what impact would this visitor have at such a crucial moment? Alice felt the echo of her heartbeat in her ears. Would this unexpected arrival threaten their fragile reunion, or could it steer them towards something transformative? The door creaked open, and in stepped a tall figure cloaked in shadows. The early morning light spilled around them, illuminating a familiar silhouette. It took a moment for Alice to recognize the visitor, her own mother, Margaret. The last time they had seen each other was 2 years ago, during a family gathering that had ended in tension and unhealed wounds. "Mom?" Alice's voice broke the silence, hesitant yet filled with disbelief. Memories flooded back like rushing water, arguments, regrets, the echo of harsh words left unspoken. Margaret took a step forward, her expression shifting from apprehension to relief. "Alice, I came as soon as I heard about John." Alice's chest tightened at the mention of her late husband. It had been a painful loss, one that had rippled through their family in profound ways. "You heard?" "I spoke to your sister this morning," Margaret said softly, her eyes darting toward Lily, who shifted uncomfortably in her chair. "I thought I'd find you here. I wanted to be with you, to help." There was a fleeting moment of silence before the weight of the unspoken hung heavily between them, crackling with unresolved feelings. "Help?" Lily echoed, crossing her arms protectively. "Is that what you call it? You hadn't spoken to us in ages and now you show up?" "Lily, wait," Alice interjected, steeling herself against the rising tide of tension. "She's here now." Margaret looked pained, her face collapsing into a frown. "I understand your anger, Lily. I wanted to reach out. There is so much I need to explain." As Margaret's words hung in the air, Alice felt the letter still in her hand, a silent testament to their family's fractures. "This is not the best time," she said, glancing at Lily, who remained guarded. "No, it might be exactly the right time," Lily countered, her resolve hardening. "We just uncovered something about Dad. If you know anything, you have to tell us, Mom." Alice felt a shudder run through her body at the sudden alignment of emotions. They were in a raw space now, each of them carrying their own pieces of grief and confusion. Margaret hesitated. "I don't want to hurt you both, but there are things you need to know about your father. Things he didn't share." Her voice quivered, but Alice held her ground. "We're listening. Just tell us." Lily leaned in closer, Her eyes locked on her grandmother's face, demanding honesty. Alice felt an unexpected wave of support from her daughter, a shift from division to collective inquiry. Margaret took a breath, gathering her thoughts. John had a secret life, one I chose to protect you both from. He was troubled in ways I never wanted to burden you with. Panic seized Alice momentarily. What do you mean? What are you saying? Tears filled Margaret's eyes, framing the sorrow etched across her features. He was struggling with demons you couldn't see. And that letter before she could finish, the atmosphere thickened with tension, each woman grappling with generations of secrets. In that moment, Alice felt every heartbeat pulse with a question that trembled on the edge of revelation. Why didn't you tell me sooner? She whispered, the sting of betrayal mingling with an insistent urge to know the truth. Margaret's gaze dropped, and Alice sensed that they were at a precipice. Would this family confrontation bring the healing they desperately needed? Or would it unravel everything they had just begun to rebuild? Lily's hand moved tentatively to her mother's, a silent promise of solidarity as they prepared for whatever would come next. Would the truth unite them? Or would it pull them apart even further? Alice's heart raced as she waited for Margaret to continue, feeling the weight of the moment as if it could shift the world. What was hidden there waiting to break free? Margaret's breath hitched in her throat, and she looked between the two women who were so much a part of her heart. The air felt electric, charged with the weight of unsaid truths and buried emotions. I thought keeping you safe meant keeping these secrets, she stammered, tears glistening in her eyes. But I see now how wrong I was. Lily's skepticism softened, if only slightly. What kind of secrets, Mom? What does any of this mean? Margaret nodded slowly, the memories flickering like old film reels in her mind. After the accident, I found things, journals, invoices. Her voice trembled. John was involved in something far deeper than family life. He had debts, Alice. Serious debts, and it spiraled into something dark. I thought if I shielded you from that. He was scared, Alice interjected, feeling as if the ground beneath her was crumbling. But scared of what? What didn't you tell me? Sinking into the nearby chair, Margaret hung her head, her fingers intertwining in the fabric of her skirt. He was working with some people who were not entirely above board. The light in her eyes dimmed as she continued. I shouldn't be telling you this. It was his burden to share, not mine. Alice felt anger and vulnerability warring within her. But you let it fester, Mom. You let him carry that weight alone. And now? Now he has gone, and we're left with that letter, Lily said, cutting in with sudden clarity, her brow furrowed in thought. What was in the letter? The one from John? Margaret took a deep breath, anguish painting her features deeper than ever. It was a confession. He expressed concern for you both, but also for things he involved himself in, the choices he made. That letter meant to explain, but she faltered, her voice barely a whisper. It never reached you in time. A silence fell, thick with grief and revelation. Alice felt her heart breaking anew, shards of past pain digging into her memories like splinters. She had thought John's love was unwavering, impenetrable. To learn of the shadows he had felt like a betrayal. Yet, an understanding started to alight in her chest. Why didn't you just fight for him? Alice's voice wavered, emotions weaving through her words. Why didn't you tell us sooner? Because fighting would have brought more pain, Margaret responded, her eyes glimmering with unshed tears. I thought I was protecting you from a world that would only break your hearts, but I see now it was me who didn't trust you to handle it. The confession hung heavily, palpable in the charged atmosphere. Lily squeezed Alice's hand, as if rooting them both to the floor beneath them. Mom, you can't just keep hiding behind that idea, Lily said, determination threading through her voice. Secrets fester. They don't keep us safe. We have to confront what's there, not just push it away. Margaret nodded, visibly drawn in by the strength of her daughters. You're right. I spent too long denying the truth. It's why I couldn't reach out when we needed one another the most. Alice took a breath, acknowledging the blend of grief and resolve swelling within her. Then let us face this together. Whatever is in that letter, whatever John was wrapped up in, we owe it to him and to ourselves. As they all considered the monumental step ahead, a sudden commotion erupted from outside, the unmistakable sound of sirens piercing through the quiet morning. The sound sliced through their collective moment, drawing their attention like a bolt of lightning. What could that be? Margaret whispered, her expression shifting into concern. Uncertainty hung in the air again, mixed with a fierce determination. Alice's heart raced once more. But this time it held a sense of purpose. Whatever secrets awaited, they would unravel them together. Let us find out, Alice said, her voice steady, and with that, they moved toward the door, constrained by the weight of impending questions as the sirens drew closer, hinting at a world outside their own shadows that was ready to collide with their newfound truths. What awaited them beyond that threshold? The door creaked open as Alice took a step outside, followed closely by her mother and sister. The cool morning air tasted like change, vibrating with urgency. What they found sent a chill racing down Alice's spine. Neighbors clustered near the sidewalk, their expressions a mix of confusion and worry. The sound of sirens grew louder, wrapping around them like a thick fog, each wail sending a wave of dread through the pit of her stomach. What happened? Alice called to Mrs. Jenkins, who stood with her hands clasped, a worried frown etched across her face. Mrs. Jenkins looked up, her eyes wide. It's your father's old friend, Tom. They say he's in trouble. Some kind of incident, a runaway car or something. But they're saying he might be hurt. The name hit Alice like a punch to the gut. Tom was one of the few people who had been there for their family after John's accident. We need to go, she said, her voice clipped, urgency taking over. Margaret's hand tightened around Alice's arm as they followed the crowd, moving through the throng of people toward the curb where red lights flashed. Before they could reach the police tape, a figure emerged from the chaos. It was Tom, disheveled but standing, shaken but alive. Relief washed over Alice, momentarily washing away the weight pressing on her heart. Tom! Margaret called out, bounding forward. Are you okay? Tom rubbed a hand across his forehead, sweat glistening under the flashing lights. It's a mess out there, he said, breathless. I was just trying to help and well, it got out of control. As they drew closer, Alice noticed his shaking hands. What do you mean? What happened? Tom glanced back toward the police officers, who were busy assessing the scene. I was pulling a car out of the ditch, couldn't see a thing. Turns out I wasn't the only one trying to help. Someone else was in the car. His voice turned gravelly. It wasn't just an accident. The unspoken words hung heavy in the air. A knot twisted in Alice's stomach. What are you saying, Tom? There's something more to it. I overheard them talking, he continued, his gaze darting nervously. Your dad, he was mixed up with things that could hurt our family. And I wasn't supposed to say anything, but I think it's related to John and his activities. The crowd buzzed around them, but Alice felt isolated, separated by a flood of memories and questions. Tom, what do you know? Before he could respond, a loud crash reverberated through the air, jolting the group. The police stepped in, pushing away anyone too close. I have to go, Tom said, shaking his head. I need to get my story straight. But be careful, Alice. There are things here. Things he didn't want you to know. Her heart raced as she watched him retreat into the crowd. We need to get home, she said urgently, turning to her mother and sister, who wore matching expressions of alarm. This isn't over, not by a long shot. They headed back to their home, the weight of Tom's words amplifying each step. Something deep was entwined with John's past, something that could shatter any illusions they had about their family. As they stepped through the door, a chill washed over them. The house felt different now, like a flicker of light revealing hidden corners in the darkness. There's more to discover, isn't there? Lily asked, voicing the dread that hung over them. Margaret's eyes shimmered with understanding. Yes. It's time we face the past together. Dread clashed with determination inside Alice. Whatever awaited them, she knew it had to be confronted. But just as they began to gather their thoughts, another knock echoed through the house, startling them. The sound sent a jolt through Alice, igniting a fire of anxiety and curiosity all at once. Who could that be now? Margaret asked, her voice barely above a whisper. With a glance between the three of them, Alice took a deep breath, feeling the weight of their shared journey settling around her shoulders. I'll see. As she moved toward the door, her heart thumped wildly, and she seized the handle, wondering what new revelations lay behind that. Or, Alice's hand trembled as she turned the doorknob, the weight of her mother's and sister's worried gazes pressing on her back. She opened the door slowly, its hinges creaking like an old man waking from a long nap, Standing there was an elderly woman, small and hunched with age, her silver hair pulled back in a neat bun. The soft lines of her face were etched with time, and her bright blue eyes held a spark of recognition. "Alice," she said gently, her voice like aged honey. "I've been searching for you." "Grandma?" Alice gasped, her heart pounding with disbelief. The woman standing at her door was her father's mother, someone she hadn't seen in years. She stepped aside, allowing her in but feeling a rush of confusion. "I didn't know you were back in town," Margaret exclaimed, stepping closer to her mother. "I wasn't sure I'd still find the same old place," Grandma smiled, but Alice could see a shadow flickering in her eyes. "But it seems I came just in time." They took a seat in the dim living room, and Alice held her breath, waiting for her grandmother to explain. The atmosphere turned thick with unspoken secrets, echoing Tom's words from earlier. "I heard about Tom's accident," Grandma began, her gaze darting around the room as if her very presence unearthed hidden shadows. "I knew him well, and I feared this day would come." "What day?" Alice's voice grew sharp, threaded with urgency. "The day when things from the past come knocking at our door," Grandma replied, her words heavy with purpose. "Your father had his reasons for not sharing the truth about our family's history. He wanted to protect you, but I see now that silence only breeds fear. And more silence." Alice felt her heart race with a mix of curiosity and dread. "What do you know about Dad?" "About John?" Her grandmother sighed, a world of sorrow and strength shining through. "He was a good man who made bad choices. I thought time would heal the wounds, but the truth has a way of resurfacing, just like dark waters." Lily leaned forward, hanging on every word. "What happened, Grandma?" "It's complicated," she said, her voice breaking slightly. "John was involved in something dangerous, something connected to the past I hoped to leave behind. I thought I'd made peace with it all, but it seems the past ain't finished with us yet." The silence that fell was deafening, wrapping around them like a shroud. Every second felt like a lifetime, tension coiling in Alice's chest. "What should we do now?" she pressed, desperate for guidance. "Face it together as a family," Grandma replied softly. "There are truths that need to be uncovered, and sometimes they're buried deeper than we realize." Just then the door creaked again. This time it was not a knock, but the sound of it swinging inward. Alice turned, half expecting another visitor, but only the draft of cold air met her. She felt a chill run down her spine. "We need to find out what really happened with Tom with Dad," she whispered, a resolve blooming inside her as Grandma nodded, her face turned serious. "And you must be prepared. There may be more you'll uncover than you're ready for." Alice held Grandma's gaze, a silent understanding passing between them. It was evident now that the truth lay hidden like a long-ignored treasure waiting to be unearthed. Everything had shifted. The secrets began to coalesce like dark clouds in a storm brewing overhead. Another knock sounded, sharper this time, interrupting the fragile moment. "Who is it now?" Margaret whispered anxiously. Alice approached the door again, her heart pounding harder. She took a deep breath and opened it wide, ready to confront whatever lay on the other side. But as the door swung open, a figure stepped forward, their face obscured by a hood, shadows cloaking their intentions. "Are you Alice?" the figure asked, voice muffled but urgent. "Yes," she replied, anxiety gripping her chest. The figure stepped into the light, and Alice's breath caught in her throat. It took only a moment for the world around her to shift once more, and she swallowed hard, knowing this was just the beginning of a truth that could change everything. "What do you want?" she asked, every muscle tensed, the weight of the unfolding mystery heavy on her heart. The hooded figure hesitated, then lowered their head, allowing a faint beam of light to reveal a familiar face. Alice's heart raced as she recognized the striking blue eyes that mirrored her grandmother's. The figure pulled back the hood, revealing a young woman with an air of urgency clinging to her features. "Isabella?" Alice stammered, astonishment vibrating through her voice. "It's me, Alice." She stepped forward cautiously, her brow furrowed, concern weaving into her expression. "I ran into some people who, well, they want answers and they think you have them." "Me?" Alice's voice shook. "What do you mean?" "It's about Tom. About Dad." Isabella's voice lowered, coldness seeping into every word. "I've heard things, disturbing things. I wouldn't have come if I didn't think you were in danger." Grandma's eyes widened, the flicker of recognition lighting a fire in them. Isabella, you shouldn't be here. But Isabella pressed on, urgency driving her. No, Grandma. We can't keep running from this. If there's something more to uncover, we need to be ready. The nonverbal exchange between the two women was profound. A silent battle of worry and resilience. Alice stood between them, the weight of her family history pressing on her shoulders like an anchor. Why would anyone come after us? She implored, her voice trembling. Because of what your father got involved with, Isabella said, locking eyes with Alice. It's bigger than you think. This isn't just family drama. It's a mess that could cost us everything. Her words sent a shiver down Alice's spine. She felt like the walls were closing in. Truths long hidden suddenly had a pulse, beating loudly in the silence. What do we do? It starts with the basement, Isabella said, glancing back toward the stairs. There are things down there, documents, maybe even photos that could help us piece this together. I know it sounds unsafe, but it might be our only way of understanding. Down there? Margaret echoed, her voice tight with concern. Yes, it's where Dad kept everything. Alice's voice sharpened with resolve. We need to go. Are you sure you're ready? Grandma asked quietly, her wisdom laced with worry. No more running from the past, Alice replied, determination building with every step toward the staircase. I'll face it head on. The group ventured toward the basement door, each step echoing against the walls of their uncertainty. The air grew heavy as the door creaked open, revealing a stairwell shrouded in darkness. It felt like stepping into the mouth of a cave, deep, unknown and foreboding. Should we get a flashlight? Margaret suggested, glancing nervously at the shadows. Isabella, do you have one? Alice asked, hoping for reassurance. Just my phone, Isabella replied, pulling it out. The dim light bounced off the walls, illuminating the dust motes swirling in the air. As they descended, the atmosphere changed. Every creak of the stairs yelled warnings, and Alice's heart thundered in her chest, fear mingling with curiosity. What if we find something we don't like? Margaret whispered, a knot forming in her throat. Then we deal with it, Alice responded, her voice firm. Together. Finally they reached the bottom. The air was thick with mustiness, a scent of forgotten memories. Alice raised her phone, illuminating the walls lined with old boxes and dusty furniture. A rusting filing cabinet loomed in the corner, its drawers slightly ajar. Here, Alice pointed, direction clear in her determination. As they sifted through piles of forgotten chaos, a small notebook caught Alice's eye. Its pages were yellowed, and as she opened it, a rush of dread washed over her. The handwriting was unmistakably her father's scrolling truths and struggles, embedded in the fabric of family secrets. This? She breathed, flipping through the pages. This could tell us everything. In that moment, a sound echoed from upstairs, a heavy thud that shattered their focus. A flicker of panic surged through Alice as her eyes darted towards the stairway. Did you hear that? She whispered, realization dawning like a cold sweat drenching her back. Maybe it's just the house settling. Isabella's voice wavered, but her eyes betrayed her fear. No, Alice said urgently. It wasn't just the house. We're not alone. The air vibrated with uncertainty as they exchanged glances, tension coiling tightly around them. What if they had awoken something far more dangerous than family secrets? As they huddled together, hearts racing, Alice felt the gravity of the moment sink in. What had her father been hiding? What dangers were lurking just out of view? And in that darkness, a flicker of hope ignited within her chest, because if there was any chance to reclaim their family's story, they had to confront whatever awaited them. But as they stood there, frozen in fear, a shadow moved just outside the light of their phones, leaving Alice breathless with hesitation and dread. What secrets were hiding in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to step into the light? Alice's breath hitched as she felt the weight of the unknown creeping in. The shadow shifted again, just beyond the beam of her phone. It was a subtle movement, but enough to send adrenaline coursing through her veins. She clutched the notebook tighter, the words blurring as her hands shook. Isabella, she whispered, her voice trembling, what do we do? Stay quiet, Isabella replied, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. Let us see what it is. Margaret gulped audibly, a quick glance sent in the direction of the stairs. The thud that echoed in their ears was no longer just the house settling. It had been a warning. Were they venturing too far into the dark? As if sensing their hesitation, the shadow lingered, reluctant to cross the threshold of light. Alice took a shaky step forward, compelled to challenge whatever lay beyond. "Who's there?" she called, her voice stronger than she felt. The only response was silence, a heavy, oppressive silence that pressed down like a lead weight. Then the light from the phone flickered, casting eerie shapes onto the basement walls. Was it malfunctioning? Or was something tampering with them? "Alice, maybe we should go back," Margaret started, but Alice cut her off, her resolve forming a protective barrier around her fears. "No," she said, adrenaline pulsing through her as the notebook flopped open in her grip. "We can't turn back now. Not when we might be so close to the truth." The air went colder, as if their determination had disturbed something deep within the shadows. Suddenly a loud crash erupted from further inside the basement, the sound of something tumbling violently. The three women jumped in unison, heartbeats racing. "Enough," Isabella breathed, frustration mingling with dread. "We need to investigate. We have to know." Alice nodded, slowly edging toward the sound, her heart hammering in her chest. She pointed her phone toward the source of the noise. The beam of light hit another dusty filing cabinet. This one tipped over, its contents scattered across the floor. "Maybe it was just the wind," Margaret said, her voice shaky as she squinted into the darkness. "Or maybe it was something trying to hide," Isabella countered, stepping cautiously forward. "Let us check." Together. Alice's breath came quick as they approached the disarray. The old cabinet had revealed worn-out cardboard boxes stuffed with all kinds of documents. Some were sealed shut, others half open like mouths ready to speak. "What's this?" Alice said, pulling out a folder marked with her father's name. It felt heavier than it should, the lead weight of family secrets wrapped inside. Before she could open it, the lights flickered one last time, then died completely, plunging them into darkness. "Great. Just great," Margaret hissed. "Now what?" "It's like we're trapped down here." "We're not trapped," Alice said, forcing calm into her voice. "Just hold on." She fumbled, trying to adjust her phone for some light. As she finally got it back on, the glow revealed an outline of another figure. The darkness had become almost tangible, an entity looming in the dim light. "Who's there?" Alice steadied herself, her voice echoing back from the walls, twisting around them like a predator playing with its food. But there was no answer. The shadow flickered again, and suddenly the figure stepped closer. The edge of a familiar face emerged, a man with dark curls and a look so intense that it struck Alice like lightning. "Dad?" The word fell from her lips before she could stop it. Alice's voice was soft yet filled with weight. "I didn't expect you to find me here." Emotion swelled in Alice's chest, a mixture of relief and confusion. He was alive? But why was he in the basement? "Dad, we need to talk," she cried, all uncertainty falling away. "You owe us answers." Instead of responding, he simply looked at her, a sadness shadowing his eyes. "You have to leave. It's not safe here." The urgency in his voice cracked something deep inside Alice. They weren't just secrets anymore. They were warnings. "What are you hiding?" Isabella pressed, stepping closer with a fierce determination. Before Tom could respond, the air seemed to grow thicker, a new presence moving among them. They were being surrounded. The walls of the basement felt alive, pulsing with an energy that made Alice's skin crawl. "Get out! Get out now!" Tom shouted suddenly, urgency etched into every syllable. But as they scrambled to retreat, a door slammed somewhere above them, locking them in the depths of uncertainty and dread. Whatever truths were entwined in the shadows were about to emerge, but so were the dangers guarding them. Alice's heart raced as she realized she hadn't felt this alive, this driven in a long time. The journey had only just begun, and it was clearer than ever that the past was not finished with them. What would happen next, as the gravity of their family's secrets pulled them further into the unknown? The darkness clung to Alice like a second skin, thick and suffocating. A quick glance at her friends showed their faces illuminated by flickering light. Fear gripped their features, and she felt the weight of curiosity battling with sheer panic. Could they really trust what was happening? "Dad, what do you mean it's not safe?" Alice pressed, her heart thudding loudly in her chest. Tom's brow furrowed, and for a moment she saw the father she longed for, the one who had walked away all those years ago. But this man was different. His face bore lines of worry and something darker, There are things down here, Alice, he said, urgency rushing through his words. I didn't want you to get involved. I wanted to protect you. From what? Margaret cut in, unconsciously inching closer to Alice. What are you hiding, Tom? A grim silence settled, and the air crackled with tension. Alice felt Isabella squeeze her arm. They needed answers, but the shadows seemed to pulsate around them, echoing Tom's fear. Please, Tom began, but a low hiss interrupted him, emanating from the very walls that surrounded them. It was as if the basement was awakening, responding to their presence. The shadows deepened, sending a chill through Alice's bones. What was that? Isabella whispered, her eyes darting in the dim light, scanning for the source. Stay together, Alice urged. Gripping her phone harder, the little light it offered felt futile against the cold grip of fear. She turned back to her father, determination etched into her features. We need to know the truth. Fine. Tom's voice snapped like a twig in the silence. It's about your grandmother. The secrets, they weren't just hers, they are ours now. And there's something much darker than you can imagine trapped within these walls. The unmistakable sound of footsteps echoed faintly from the depths of the basement, sending terror surging through Alice. The dread in Tom's face deepened, and Alice's eyes widened as she searched for answers. What do you mean, darker? She pushed, feeling the heat of her own defiance flare. Please just tell us. Before he could speak, the figure in the shadows stretched and shifted, revealing a grotesque form that twisted and morphed with each flicker of the light. The air grew heavier, palpable like a storm ready to break. Father, Alice started, her voice trembling. But it was too late. Tom moved forward, blocking the advancing shadow with an almost protective stance. Get back. You have to leave now. He yelled, his voice cracking with raw urgency. In an instant, adrenaline fueled Alice and her friends into motion. They pressed their bodies against the cold, hard wall, hearts racing, breaths quickening. If you don't want to talk, we need to run, Isabella shouted as she grabbed Alice's arm, ready to drag her backward toward the stairway. Don't you dare. Tom's voice thundered. If you leave, you may never come back. The truth will kill us, the truth will kill you. His words landed with the weight of 1,000 bricks, weighing down everything inside Alice. Could they really turn back now? But as Alice's mind raced between escape and uncovering the secrets waiting to be revealed, the distant thud grew louder, matching the cadence of her pulse. The shadow morphed closer, its presence electrifying the air, daring them to make a choice. Follow me, Alice yelled, fighting against the panic flooding her veins. The light from her phone swayed, illuminating her unwavering resolve. They weren't just looking for answers anymore. They were caught in a reckoning. They sprinted toward the stairs, propelled by instinct. But as they turned, the basement erupted in chaos. Stone walls creaked, and the shadows twisted in on themselves, converging like a tide threatening to drown them in secrets. We're not done, Alice shouted desperately, her voice rising over the chaos. But as the darkness beckoned, a chilling whisper echoed, seeping into their minds. Are you sure you're ready for the truth? Caught between the unknown and the choice to escape, the line between safety and the shadows blurred. What lay ahead might bring freedom or doom, but one thing was clear. The horrors hidden beneath the surface were just beginning to surface. What dark truths awaited them, and would Alice dare confront what lived within her family as shadows? As they huddled together in the dim light, fear intermingled with a fierce determination. Alice's heart raced. The shadows around them, once just a backdrop to their family's history, now felt alive, swirling with secrets demanding to be unearthed. Tom's urgent warnings echoed in her ears. The truth will kill you. It was dramatic, but the piercing fear in his eyes told a different story, one that sent cold chills racing up Alice's spine. We can't let fear dictate our choices anymore, she insisted, her voice steadying as she locked eyes with Isabella and Margaret. If we don't face this, we'll stay trapped in the dark. The ground felt unsteady under her feet as they faced the encroaching shadow, which undulated like a living being. Stay together, Isabella urged, gripping Alice's arm tightly. What is it? Alice shouted, defiantly stepping forward even as anxious tremors threaded through her voice. What do you want? A chilling silence hung in the air, thick with tension. Then the figure rippled in response, morphing closer, revealing glimpses of twisted lines and haunted faces. echoes of the torment that had long been buried beneath layers of dust and silence. It's time to uncover what S locked away. A low voice hissed, resonating deep in their bones. Alice felt the ancient weight of the past coiling tightly around them, threatening to smother their fiery resolve. But she refused to back down. Whatever it is, we're here. Together. Together, Tom echoed weakly, still positioning himself protectively between his family and the shifting darkness. But we can't let it take control. The past is painful, yes, but we can't hide anymore. Confession is our strongest weapon. The commotion paused, uncertainty rippling through the fog. A light bulb flickered back to life, illuminating their surroundings momentarily, revealing old family portraits plastered on the walls, faces frozen in time, eyes silently judging their hesitations, their inherited fears. Everything you've been afraid of is right here, Alice, Tom continued, his voice becoming more resolute. The debts, the choices, everything that put a shadow over our lives. This is like a curse. But if we accept it, it loses its power. Alice took a deep breath, nodding firmly as clarity washed over her. This wasn't just about confronting Tom or the shadows. It was about facing their family's legacy head-on. With each revealing glimpse of their past, she felt empowered, a chance to redefine her place in this tangled web of history. Let us bring light to the dark, she declared, gripping the notebook tightly. We owe it to ourselves, to John, and to everyone who suffered from these secrets. With renewed conviction, she approached the pulsating shadow, heart racing fiercely within her chest. Show me, she challenged, unwavering in her resurrected strength. The shadow flickered, hesitating as if weighing her courage against the darkness it harbored. After a moment it surged forward, pulling them into a whirlwind of swirling memories, tangible whispers of pain and joy. Distant laughter echoed through the air, the warmth of familiar voices guiding them through fears they dared not confront alone. A tapestry of scenes unfolded, intertwining heartache with enlightenment, illuminating forgotten stories. Moments when laughter filled the house, hands clasped around the dinner table, and tears shared in grief. They revealed the human link that had long woven their lives together, an unbreakable bond of love. Despite the darkness, the shadows retreated, revealing the heart of their family buried deep beneath resentment and misunderstanding. Alice felt tears sting her eyes as she understood the sacrifices John made, driven by fear and love. As the fog cleared, the shadows turned into silhouettes of their ancestors, connected, resilient, a reminder of the strength that came from facing the truth. Alice stepped back in awe, feeling the warmth spread through her chest. We can do this, she said, acknowledging her family. We don't have to keep running. Together, Margaret echoed softly, reaching for both Alice and Isabella. Together, Tom affirmed, a weight lifting off his heart. In that unity they stood strong, resilient against whatever secrets dared to creep from the shadows. In that moment they were not just a family tied by blood, but a lineage woven with love, tenacity, and the courage to confront the truth, because that's what family does. The space around them brightened, a guiding light cutting through the remnants of their fears, illuminating a path toward healing. They stepped forward together, ready to weave their own narrative, one of understanding, forgiveness, and love. Let us rebuild, Alice said with a radiant smile, her heart swelling with hope. For John, for us, and for everyone who needs a Sweet Memories bakery in their lives. As they embraced that moment, light flooded the basement, washing away years of darkness. Together they were rewriting their family's story, illuminating a brighter future forged from transparency, hope, and the echo of voices finally set free. Now this is your call to action. You need to subscribe now to continue supporting our journey and uncover the next incredible transformations. Don't wait not even one more second. Hit that like button to help spread this story. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this poignant ending, and share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to witness this inspiring journey. This is the moment to show your support and stay connected.